was never designed to witness thousands of lives at once. It was designed to understand a few faces, a few paths, a few stories. Yet every single day, we scroll through moments we were never meant to compare ourselves to. Moments stripped of context, moments polished for attention, moments that slowly reshape how we see our own lives. This is a story about that quiet damage, the kind you don't notice at first, the kind that doesn't hurt loudly, but lingers deeply. His name was Michael, not because the name matters, but because every unseen struggle deserves to be humanized. Michael was not lazy. He was not careless. He was not wasting his life. He showed up. He tried. He carried responsibility. But slowly, almost without realizing it, he began to feel like he was falling behind. Every morning followed the same pattern. He woke up, reached for his phone, and scrolled. Luxury cars passing by, keys being tossed in slow motion, smiling faces posing beside houses, watches, vacations, and numbers he didn't fully understand. Everyone online looked successful. Everyone looked confident. Everyone looked like they had figured life out early. At first, Michael told himself it was motivation. He believed seeing more would push him to do more, that exposure would sharpen his hunger. But something else happened instead. Without noticing when it began, his self-respect started to shrink. Not loudly, not suddenly, quietly. Michael still worked, he still tried, he still put in effort where he could. But inside, something had shifted. He began measuring his life against moments that were edited, against timelines that skipped struggle, against people performing success for strangers, and every comparison made his own life feel smaller. He started asking himself questions that didn't used to exist. Why does everyone else seem ahead of me? Why does my effort feel invisible? Why do I feel behind even when I'm trying? The strange thing was that nothing about his life had actually changed, only his perception had. The work was still real, the effort still honest, the progress, slow but steady, still happening, but the noise drowned it out. Michael was an introvert. He processed deeply. He noticed patterns others ignored. Images stayed in his mind long after he closed the app. Comparisons echoed long after the screen went dark. Even rest didn't bring relief. Sleep didn't stop his thoughts. It simply gave them more space. And over time, exhaustion set in. Not physical exhaustion, mental exhaustion. The kind that comes from constantly questioning your worth without evidence. One night, after scrolling longer than he meant to, Michael put his phone down and stared at the ceiling. The room was quiet, the kind of quiet that makes thoughts unavoidable. And for the first time, he asked himself a question he couldn't scroll past. If everyone is winning, why do I feel like I'm losing? That question followed him into the next day, and the day after that. Michael began to observe instead of absorb. He noticed that the loudest lives online were rarely calm, that the richest images often belonged to people constantly proving something, that happiness, when performed, looked different from peace. He started to understand that much of what he was seeing wasn't reality, it was presentation. Online, success is amplified, failure is hidden, confusion is edited out. People don't show the nights of doubt, the debt, the years of being unsure. They show the moment after survival. And when you believe everything you see, something dangerous happens. You begin to believe your own life is insufficient. Michael realized comparison wasn't motivating him, it was draining him. It was stealing his patience, his confidence, his ability to appreciate where he was. He had been running a race without knowing the distance, without knowing the rules, without knowing whether the finish line was even real. And the finish line kept moving. So he did something small but important. He stepped back, not in anger, not dramatically. he didn't disappear from the world, he simply created distance from the noise. Less scrolling, more presence. Less measuring, more grounding. At first, the silence felt uncomfortable. Without constant distraction, his thoughts became clearer. But clarity, unlike noise, doesn't rush. Slowly, his mind began to rest. Michael stopped rushing his timeline, stopped punishing himself for not looking successful yet, stopped assuming that quiet meant failure. He focused on what he could control: his effort, his consistency, his character. No one applauded this shift. No one noticed it online, but internally it mattered. He began to rebuild self-respect, not from achievements, not from validation, but from honesty, from knowing he was building something real, even if no one was watching. Michael didn't suddenly become wealthy. He didn't gain attention overnight, but he became grounded, and grounding brings clarity. He could finally sit with himself without feeling behind. He understood something most people miss. Real growth is usually quiet. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't perform. It doesn't beg to be seen. It simply continues. Days turned into months, months into years, and the stability he built quietly began to reflect in his life, not as luxury, but as peace, not as applause, but as confidence. Michael no longer needed to prove where he was going. He knew he was moving. If you're listening to this and your mind never seems to rest, if scrolling leaves you feeling smaller, if other people's success is slowly damaging your self-respect, this story is for you. Not everything you see is real, and just because your progress is quiet doesn't mean it's not happening. You are not late. You are not failing. You are not invisible. You are building away from the noise. And sometimes that is the strongest way to rise.
If you are watching this and you find yourself in the same position as Michael, doing same thing and feeling same way, let this story bring change to your life and the way you see yourself. To show you appreciate this coming to you, like, comment, and subscribe to this channel so more inspiration stories like this comes to you first.